G'day and welcome to Pello Talk. Today I'm joined by the Right Honourable Mr. Mark Latham, whose Facebook profile is currently giving Milo Yiannopoulos a kiss. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good, Dave. How are you going?
Very well, thank you. Now, tell me, was Milo as good a kiss as it looks like you were having?
Well, it enabled him to put on his Facebook page that in Sydney that night he was going to be introduced by odious homophobe Mark Latham. Because after a while you just get, there's only so many times you can be called a homophobe, Islamophobe, racist, the left don't debate any of these issues now. All they do is try and label people in a derogatory way, and these labels are ridiculous. They're open to ridicule. So pecking Milo on the cheek was a way of ridiculing the left, which is part of the spirit of the whole Milo project. So I was very glad to do it for that reason. The idea that I'm prejudicial about anyone is ridiculous. So why not highlight that publicly?
Yeah, exactly. Now, something else that is really along the vein of that, which you're leading the crusade to, or you're certainly organising along with Jacinta Price leading the campaign, and that is to save most of Australia from being put in the basket of racists, because we love our nation and we celebrate its traditional day of celebration. And that's the campaign to Save Australia Day. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, a lot of people say to me, who's fighting back against the left-wing madness? And if you had to give the left credit for one thing, it would be perseverance. They chip away, they campaign publicly. It might take a decade or more to achieve some of these things. Look at what they did on gay marriage without adequate protection of religious freedoms. They chipped away, and now they're saying that having got gay marriage out of the way, they're looking to move Australia Day off the 26th of January, which, if you're average Australian, is a wonderful day of celebration.
That's right.
No disrespect to Indigenous people.
That's right.
So I think one of the lessons for those who aren't part of the left, those who quite like Australia the way it is in many respects, is don't allow them to campaign and chip away over a long period of time, raise some resources and fight back. So they're pushing Change the Date movement, and we're going to launch an advertising campaign to appeal to Australians and political leaders to say, save Australia Day, keep the date on the 26th of January. We want to win the argument that this is by far the best day for Australia Day, and it should stay there permanently into the future.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's something you said right there is raising the resources. As we saw in the wake of the homosexual marriage debate, is that there's a lot of big corporations now getting behind regressive, progressive, leftist agendas such as redefining marriage and this white guilt virtue signalling social justice warrior cause of pretending that a different day is going to make the lives of the average Indigenous Australia markedly better, which is, of course, a notion. It's a huge amount of virtue signalling, but we do have to really raise some resources ourselves on the right to combat this. Now, what kind of spending are you planning on doing with? You said some advertising. What kind of dollars do you think that's going to take for us to wage an effective campaign?
Well, none of it's inexpensive. We've got TV advertising, radio advertising in mind. We're producing a TV ad now. So we've also got in-kind contributions that help out. Basically, I'm wanting to put as many resources into this as possible. Every single dollar that we raise, we will spend. Radio and TV advertising, it's not inexpensive, but, you want to be out there and competitive against Get Up, the Greens, the Labor left. You just pointed out all the support they get from corporate Australia. Yeah. The support that corporate Australia used to give to causes like Australia Day has really diminished. It is the virtue signalling and the dinner party set who want to be part of so-called progressive change. These corporate leaders think, oh, that's a lot better than being called a greedy capitalist pig. Well, all the resources are against us, so we're crowdfunding and hoping to raise as much as we can, hopefully, more than $100,000 to run a decent campaign and to make an impact. And anyone who wanted to contribute, they can go to my Facebook page, Mark Latham's Outsiders, and they'll see all the details and the crowdfunding mechanism there at Mark Latham's Outsiders Facebook page.
Brilliant. And you can look that up. And if you also want any details, I'll put the links to that crowdfunding page beneath this video as well. Now, speaking of lefties, putting everybody in the same basket and just character assassinating them because they can't actually win the argument on the facts, somebody's replied to your article on your Twitter post yesterday. His Twitter handle is Fonzie87, a guy by the name of Tim. He says, "Jesus, Mark, this is flat out racist. We killed their people and forced them into Western society, and you're arguing they had no advantages of the material-based European economy. They had it all, man. Community, tradition, sustainable, hunting, language." So,
language, wow, fancy that, language. No other part of the world had language.
No, or tradition. Or sustainable hunting.
You should be able. This is one of the things the left don't like. The left like to rewrite all history. All forms of identity are fluid. Nothing is set in stone. Well, some parts of history are set in stone. It happened, and no sensible person could possibly argue that Indigenous culture, for the virtues that it had in 1788, had any technological base that could at all match Western civilization. And whether that particular fellow likes it or not, the fact that we've got an education system, a health system, housing, an economy, technology, cultural and entertainment industries, it's only because of the know-how that started to arrive in Australia on the 26th of January 1788. And that's not a statement of disrespect to Indigenous people. You can point to their custodianship of the land and other virtues of their culture. But in terms of technology, it's reasonable to say that Australia is a much better continent because of European settlement. Now, that's just the reality. We should acknowledge that. And, of course, for sensible Indigenous leaders like Jacinta Price, who's leading our Save Australia Day campaign, the reality is you want to make advances for Indigenous people, you're going to rely on those technologies, on the education system, on jobs, on better health services. So, it's not a matter of rewriting history, it's a matter of acknowledging reality.
So this Fonzie87, his name's Tim, he insists in subsequent comments that comparing cultures and comparing races as one being superior or inferior to the other is fundamentally racist. That if you're saying not all cultures are equal, you're a racist. What's racist about comparing cultures?
Well, you're just comparing historical realities, and you should be able to talk about these things in a sensible, realistic way. And it's just a matter of historical fact that Western civilization brought to the Australian continent technologies that Indigenous people here hadn't gone anywhere near developing. They had some basic sort of fishing technologies and hunting technologies, but in terms of things as simple as inventing the wheel, they hadn't got that far advanced. So all the technologies and virtues of Western civilization that came here in 1788, they're things that potentially can add to the quality of the lifestyle that Indigenous Australians lead. And we just need to accept that. Move forward,
have you got
find
a dog
solutions to the problems that remain, and unite as Australians to celebrate on the 26th of January each year.
Have you got a dog chewing up a sock or something?
Hang on a sec, we have to cut there. Get. Sort of two puppies wrestling each other. Sorry about that. Slight technical interruption.
Yeah, we'll have to put your dog.
I've kicked them out of my office now.
Put your dogs on silent next time.
Anyway, that's slice of reality in the Latham household. There you are.
We won't edit too much of that.
Authenticity.
It's good. Hey, what does Australia Day mean to you? Why do you celebrate it? If you're not celebrating Invasion Day, what are you celebrating?
Well, we're celebrating all the benefits and wonder of the Australian story. I mean, Indigenous culture has its virtues, but the settlement of this country from 1788 onwards is a great pioneering story, a great international success story. Australia is not an easy continent to settle because of its remote distances, its aridness, the deserts and the like. So for Australia to develop one of the greatest countries in the world is a magnificent achievement, and we should celebrate that each year on our Australia Day. And also recognise that whether you're Indigenous or any other ethnic background, we've got a lot to share in common. The ideals of being an Australian, celebrating and enjoying each other's company on Australia Day is a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. So I can't find any negatives about the 26th of January, I've got to say. I just can't see any of the negatives. And I think it's all positive, and we should embrace that as a magnificent national day.
I do agree. Look, it's Australia Day. You're celebrating what you love about Australia. A celebration of anything isn't a pretense that it's perfect and that there's not anything that we can learn from and mature. You know, every birthday we celebrate somebody despite their faults. Nobody's perfect, but we still celebrate them. The same as our nation. We're celebrating another year, a better year, a step in the right direction. And, definitely there's been some missteps in our history, but we're not celebrating them. We're celebrating the things that make us Australian, the things that unify us.
Exactly. By its nature, a celebration looks to the positives. That's right. What we do on Australia Day.
Yeah.
And, there's not much to be gained by mourning the past. You can't change the past.
Yeah.
And you can acknowledge the good things about the past, take those forward and try and solve some problems into the future. And that's what sensible people do, and that's how they look at the 26th of January.
I do love what Jacinta Price and other Indigenous leaders have to say about this, and that is that nobody's life is going to be changed by moving the date. Australia is going to be exactly the same nation. Their lives, their rates of domestic violence and education and healthcare and those things that are measurably different are going to be exactly the same no matter what date we celebrate Australia. And so,
there is no better date. You see, the ABC made fools of themselves recently. The Triple J radio station moved their hottest 100 music hits one day to the 27th of January, and then they found out that's International Holocaust Remembrance Day. So you can move to other dates, but there's no better date than the 26th of January. Some people say the 1st of January, but that's not much of a celebration because everyone blown their gaskets off the night before on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that's right.
It's sort of a recovery day. We don't want Australia Day to be a recovery day on the 1st of January. So there is no better date than the 26th of January, and we need to push back against this lefty change the date syndrome, which is all part of their rewriting of history, whether it's arguing with statues of Captain Cook or trying to find some better date than the 26th of January that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks very much for organising this. It's a good work to collaborate on and promote together. As patriotic, neighbour-loving Australians, we want to see the best of Australia celebrated and moved forward, the things that unite us, our flag, our government, our anthem, and our national identity as Australians, which is ethnically diverse, but it's a fantastic culture of all the best of us, especially, but not limited to, the Western civilizations that have made opportunities many, many times better for everybody. So, really appreciate your time chatting with me today.
Thanks for your support, Dave. And I apologise for my dogs who got into a wrestling match. Maybe they're wanting to fight the lefties as well, the puppies. Everyone's in on it. We've got to fight back against these people, and I appreciate your support.
You're welcome. It is a dogfight, so make sure you click at the links beneath this video and give your support. Look, small amounts really make a difference. Don't think your amount's too small, and of course, if you can donate a big amount, do that as well. But many small amounts add up quite significantly, and there's some big corporations trying to change this day, and we have to win it. So head to those links beneath the video and look for Mark Latham's Outsiders on the internet and Facebook as well. And let's make Australia Day better than ever next year. This is Dave Pello for Pello Talk, and we'll see you next time.